Hey all, welcome to today's video. I want to talk about a photographer who I only recently discovered. I literally stumbled across him in my previous video. His name is Tony RayJones. He was an English street photographer. He really inspired Martin Parr, who's a photographer that many of you might be aware of. He died at the young age of 30. He left behind such a great body of work. This is actually the book that I found in the bookstore in the last video. I had to get it. It was so good. It was so good. After honing his skills in New York, Tony RayJones came back to England and he brought with him a philosophy and a style of photography that really pushed the boundary of what people thought photography was at the time, especially in England. I'm actually quite surprised that I haven't heard anything about him before. His work is absolutely phenomenal. And what I think really makes him stand out as a photographer is his spatial awareness and his way to really construct really complex images where it gives a context and a relationship between all those disparate subjects within the frame in such a choreographed, theatrical kind of way. I think it really creates drama within the frame, and it creates stories, and it really pulls you in. I guess because it is street photography and the way that he gets close enough to his subjects and shows them in the way that they are, it kind of makes you feel connected to them in a way that's very personal. One of my favorite shots of him is a trip at Beachy Head, and this was taken in '68 back in England. Spatial awareness really gives breath to each character and to say their own story, to show their own personality. I also wanted to show you this image as well. It's actually the cover of the book. All these separate worlds that kind of live together, and that's something that Tony tried to work as well, to have the subject matter and the surroundings kind of interplay and relate to one another and to be in their own little world. Almost as if he's a filmmaker and he can kind of show in a choreographed way these snippets of these people's world and who they are as characters, and you have to be almost photojournalistic in the way that you kind of have to be an invisible person just watching the drama and the moment as it goes along. So Tony had actually gotten a scholarship when he was 19 years old to study design at the Yale University School of Arts. He had met Joel Meyerowitz in a film lab. They immediately hit it off. They both loved shooting the streets. They hit parades, carnivals, basically anywhere where there was people. And if you don't know Joel or his work, I'll put some link in the description for some of his stuff. He's actually got a great body of work. Definitely go and check those things out. This book, Tony RayJones' American Color. These images are what he took during his time in New York, and he called these his isolated sketches. I want to show you guys this image of these children, what look to be in sailor outfits. You can definitely see the start of Tony's voice here. It's well composed. Your eye can follow through the frame, and it's got something different to see and to understand about the people. This was taken at the Puerto Rican Day Parade in 1963. Tony was 21 at the time, and it's another great example of the start of Tony's eye and what was important to him and how he wanted to show it. After his death, his wife Anna had donated all his work to the National Science Museum, his contact sheets, his prints, his notebooks, his negatives. So thank you, Anna, for doing that, because then now we can be inspired by his work, and so really appreciate that. That's top stuff. Thank you, friend. What I really like about the fact that this book was published is that you can see how it came from his work here to then to the work within this one. I think it's great to be able to see that shift and that change and that transformation into the photographer that he became. There is so much more that I could say about Tony. I could go on and on. I've learned so much from him. Definitely get yourself a copy of his books to study yourself. I would highly recommend that. But if you can't get a hold of it, for educational purposes, I have created a video for each of these books where you guys can flick through and see the books for yourselves and pause it on a photo and really study it for yourselves. So definitely check those out. I'll put a link up for those. But yeah, thanks for coming along, guys. Definitely subscribe so you guys can keep up to date with the videos that come out. Stay safe, shoot more. Love you all.